All right, this is Scott Montgomery in the small town Mercer. I'm going to show a video, some people talking about how to regulate Bitcoin. And I'm going to come back when that is completed.
To them, to everybody that they participate in. There is so many different ways that they create controls, right?
Correct.
Here's a question for you. Historically, what are some ways the U.S. government can impose controls on Bitcoin? Taxation being one of them. Yeah. What are other creative ways that a Janet Yellen or a Biden administration can create controls on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? Wow, you're spooked. Yeah, the guy who's Wikipedia is spooked. So all I'm asking is, there are so many creative ways. What is the way? What are they going to do to create controls? You know, tax being one of them, regulation being another one. You know, how much like, you know how remember when the GME, the GameStop stock went up, and then all of a sudden they said, what? No more activity, no more activity. Mm-hmm. Is there a lid to be put on it on how much it can go? Can they price it themselves? You know, one control is coming and saying, hey, gold is worth, what was a dollar amount back in 1934? Where there was a gold worth $29, $34. You remember what the number was?
36 maybe?
Some number like that, where they said, here, they dictate what it's worth. So what if they come out and they say, we're going to regulate, you say Bitcoin's worth $50,000 per, we're going to put a number on it. Bitcoin is worth $10,000 per. Like, I'm not saying that's what they're going to do. All I'm asking is, you have to anticipate that regulators think very differently than freedom, libertarian, leave me alone entrepreneurs, innovators. So
we have the SEC and the market controls, right?
Okay.
And the SEC influences used to be the Amex, used to be Chicago Board of Options. You had all these markets out there where you could buy and sell stuff, whether it's fruit and livestock futures or a share of stock or an option on stock. And the SEC has got things in there about volatility and what's called the circuit breakers. If the circuit breakers trip, they suspend trading on things. So they can put tight controls in there that are deemed to protect the investor. Robinhood, remember, limited how many you could trade at a certain day. SEC could step in and do simple things like that. There's a lot of ways that they could control the momentum, the amount, and go back to it's not even 100 years ago, the Federal Reserve Act 1934, of how much you can own.
I just thought about something. The easiest way to control it, manipulate it, is to increase, if you want to pay for something in cash.
Kai, we can hear you.
If they want to pay for something in cash or credit cards at this price, but if they want to pay in Bitcoin, it's this price. Right?
Yeah, the other part is like, look what happened with the industry you and I are a part of, right? You got a Joseph Kennedy who gets recruited by a Roosevelt to come in and try to figure out the stock market manipulation, and Joseph Kennedy calls a meeting apparently that says, hey, everybody needs to come to New York who's selling stocks, and people didn't show up. And it's like, wait a minute, you better listen to me and show up. They didn't show up. So, you know what? Of licensing, there's an element of, you know, those are the things, like how all of it, they're pretty creative when they come out with regulation. Kai, do you have something in mind you want to share with us?
Yeah, no. So I think the biggest thing for them also now that essentially, because Bitcoin you keep in a wallet, right? That wallet essentially the government really doesn't have access to. They don't know how much is in there, depending on how much you've earned. If you buy in low, you sell high, kind of this, that, and the other. So I think a big part of it is that money can sit in the wallet and you're not paying any capital gains or anything of that kind. So now that, say, Tesla is allowing you to buy a Bitcoin, right? Or buy a car with Bitcoin.
Yep.
I think that's the only place where government realistically can then go in and take a piece of the pie, because now they can see, oh, you have that, you're trading that value. So then they have to come in with some sort of tax there, because if not, the Bitcoin can just sit in a wallet and that money can store, that money can stay there, it can grow, yada, yada, yada. Or the other way is when you then put that money from the Bitcoin into your bank, then it's kind of like, oh, suddenly you have 40 million here. What's going on, Mr. XYZ? So for regulation or just purposes of taxes, I think that they're going to have to find a way to tax spending money with Bitcoin on buying something in that transaction. You have to find a way to kind of get a piece of the pie there.
I remember when, you're right, Kai, I remember when there's a point in time you can buy something on Amazon or eBay without having paid tax on it. There's no tax on it. Now there's tax. Now there's tax on it.
That's right.
So this is just another evolution. Can they stop Bitcoin? I don't think they can, but they can find a way to tax it.
Yeah.
Well, there is also that long ago, you could commit several wire transactions and you could effectively obfuscate what you were doing with money. And then the federal government said, okay, to control it, they forced the banks to be the reporting agency and be not really the cop, but the reporting agency. So what's the limit on a wire transaction now where the bank has to turn in your social security number and the wire transaction? 10 grand, right?
Yeah.
A deposit of $10,000 in a bank, the banks have to report it,
Sure.
correct?
Yep.
So now the government's got in exchange for FDIC insurance, you have to, and all these other benefits of connecting to the money supply and the overnight borrowing rate for all the banks. Now you have to tell us every time there's a transaction of over $10,000.
That's a good point.
So now they're collecting all the information so they can come back to you on an audit and say, Matt, you had all these wires going back and forth. You can no longer hide where your money's going from. Was this income or is this savings to checking? What was going on here?
Yep.
And they know it. So there's a lot of other controls that go in there. That was one of the first. We talk about the government having too much data on us and things like this. That was a data gold mine for the IRS auditors. Now they had the banks recording and reporting every $10,000 transaction.
So banks would have FDIC. If the bank was to go into default, the banks have FDIC. If a brokerage went to default, you have the SIPC. What would it be for crypto? What would it be for Bitcoin? There is none.
Well, there wasn't those until they needed them, was it?
Correct. Until people started losing a lot of money, that there it is. There's a protection.
So you're saying if all of a sudden a lot of people lose money and there's a dramatic drop off, then we may have an SIPC type of a thing set up?
Correct.
Got it.
Hello, welcome back. This is Scott Montgomery. Let's go over what we just saw in that video, because and these are guys that I generally agree with. They're very conservative guys, whatever. But you've got to understand something, that in the future, you have to understand the up and coming, the next generation. Let me get most closer in the camera here. There we go. You have to understand the next upcoming generation and what's going on. Now, I read things all the time. I read alternative things a lot. So I don't sit there all day long, read the news, look at the television programs and the nighttime TV wrestling slash news talk programs or talk radio or any of that stuff. I don't listen to that a lot. I listen to it sometimes. But most of my day I'm reading to see what's out there and what's going on. And so I gotta laugh every time I see these people talk about this kind of thing. They think in terms of the current fiat system, and they think about how are we going to control and regulate Bitcoin and fit that into our modern day fiat model. And see, the answer to that question is you're not. So forget about it. The fiat model is something that's going to be put to sleep, put to rest, and buried in a cemetery. And then you're going to have to move on. All right. Earlier this year, Rush Limbaugh died. Okay. And the medium he created is now going on and on and on, trying to replicate what he did. He is gone now. And that model is not addressing the needs of the future. Then you have the liberal side, right? They're not either. All right? Those, taxation and government providing you opportunities and all that other stuff. That's feudalism, essentially. That's almost like you're going to create a bigger and better plantation and slavery is going to be cool. No, it's not. And most people in the next generation don't really care about that platform. I read a story today where the report says, 70% of the younger generation, millennial, whatever they call them, they're into socialism. No, they're into their form of socialism. And they're not going to be committed and patriotic and proclaiming themselves a certain nation or a certain country. This is something that is of the previous centuries. this is something from the Middle Ages. This is our king, and we're going to fight and die for him. He's going to protect us and give us goodies. No, you're starting to see a variety of different aspects that are coming along now. And so let's go over the younger generation. So here's the next generation. The next generation, um, they see the taxes and the socialism and all that stuff, and that's great, wonderful, super. But that doesn't speak to them. They're not the rich millionaires that are going to be paying a lot of taxes. They're going to be making money, and they're trying to live as light as possible so that their salary and their bucks go as far as they can. So they're not looking to have ownership and cars and houses and things of that nature. They're they're looking to be mobile. Okay, they want to go all around the place and have fun. They work, and when they're done working, they want to. I want to go on. Let's say I live in New York. I want to go on a plane and go to London this weekend and have fun, and come back and then work some more, and then the following weekend maybe I'll go to Cancun, Mexico, or something. So they want to have relationships. I don't know if they want to start a family. Even that has to fit into their model, not the other way around. Um, their assets now are going to be their money and their investments. Their assets are not going to be houses, property, cars, vehicles, possessions, things like that. Um, Being entrenched in a society in a physical location, that's not going to interest them, right? They've grown up their whole lives on the computer. They don't sit there reading a book and sitting outside and watching grass grow and birds land in the trees. They do once in a while, but only for a brief period of time. They're not interested in studying hours of philosophy and what have you. They do that for their job, or they do it for their personal satisfaction, but they don't want to make a life out of it and be locked in a 9 to 5 type of prison. They want to be mobile and free floating. All right? That's how they're thinking. And so, um, by saying that a fiat currency is going to satisfy them, a fiat currency is going to hold them back, right? It's going to hold them back. That's what's that's the that's the fiat world. The fiat world is you got to wait and fill out paperwork and do all this just to get this item. And they don't want to do that. They don't even want to own a car. They want to go someplace, rent a car, turn it in, goodbye. Okay, they don't want to have to deal with that. I don't have to deal with fixing gutters and cleaning my place and hardwiring the electricity and doing all that and mowing the lawn and digging ditches and then let's go inside the home and watch the boob tube while I vegetate or whatever. No, they want to go out and jump on the beach and go party or whatever, or go have fun or do something. And if they have children, go do something with the kids, walk around the park or something. They don't want to go out and drag their own food into the house unless it's fun, you know. So, and you're seeing a lot of proliferation of this. So, what I like to do is I like to go on the internet and see what things are trending. And I noticed in the last 3 or 4 years, because I've been knocked up with one illness after another, that I'm now thankfully over. Spent a lot of time in downtime in the bedroom recuperating, and I've noticed that what's going on in the world. I want to know, and so I've gone to a lot of alternative sites. Like what's on YouTube and what's trending and all that other stuff. Not social media, but just in general what I see going on out there. And I'm noticing a lot of people are getting on the sailboat and sailing around the world, right? And you even have some people starting families on sailboats, young couples, and they're still sailing around the world. You know, there's a lot of sailing sites that have a lot of viewers, and a lot more people are buying sailboats and sailing around and going from country to country and living that way. And they generate income actually from their videos, I think. You know, anyway. But that's one thing. And then another thing is you have, Airbnb and all these things are starting to get popular. But there's other things I'm going to show you that are even one step beyond that. Okay? So that's the millennial. So thinking about, oh yes, saving money and doing the slow way, and and paying my taxes, and itemizing everything and all this other stuff. Um, the banking industry and the crypto industry are not compatible at all. So for that video you showed about banking and how they're going to nail your transaction, this, that, who's they? Who's they? More and more and more, this role of citizenship is something that doesn't mean much to the younger generation. And I'm just telling you, it doesn't. They consider national people who are patriotic and nationalistic to be fascists, you know. And why do they think that? Because political parties use that as a means to get political support. And so borders and migration and immigration, they're looked at as martyrs or something, holy people. And so the reason for that is now all of a sudden you want to say, okay, now that we're in power and we're pro immigration or whatever, you're going to be loyal to us, and we're the new patriotism. And people are saying, what are you talking about? There's no loyalty to that. I want to move around and be an immigrant. I don't want to have responsibility to pay all this taxation and all that stuff. Okay. Sales tax is one thing that, okay, yeah, we'll do that. But beyond that, I don't think you're going to see a lot of home ownership taxes, and a lot of, yeah, I guess, a lot of wealthy people wanting to sit somewhere and give their money to some government. So you're going to see a lot of people hopping around the world and living in different places that are more and more either open to Bitcoin and fewer taxes than you are paying sales taxes. And let me give you an example of that. In the video, they were talking about how they're going to tax, sales taxes and transaction, and the banks are going to report you and all this other stuff. Well, who's the bank? Um, you have self banking now. Self banking. So you're going to report yourself and say, gee, I think I want to pay you thousands of more dollars than I just paid you? I don't think so. No, that's not going to happen. So, you know, um, you're going to see this libertarian idea that they talked about become a reality. And in the libertarian world, in the Bitcoin world, all right, we're not going to be spending Bitcoin and buying items. That's not going to happen. Bitcoin is an asset. We don't spend assets in the libertarian world. And I'm acting like I'm a libertarian, but I'm not. But I'm just saying that we're going to be living in the libertarian world. And so we're going to have to function in that world. So you've got, if to function in that world, you've got to understand it. And you've got to understand that the libertarian world is that we don't spend assets. We're not going to be spending assets. you're going to have to come up with an altcoin that's spending money. All right? That altcoin is going to be your spending money. And you're going to derive it from Bitcoin. It's going to have its value based on Bitcoin. So, this idea that if you invest in Bitcoin and someday Bitcoin is going to be worth close to zero compared to what? Close to zero compared to fiat dollars or euros or whatever? Really? I didn't realize that dollars were gaining value. How many videos have I made so far that ask the question, gee, my house is worth $500,000 this year. Next year it's going to be worth $300,000 because the dollar is so valuable. A loaf of bread's going to be 25 cents next year because the dollar is so valuable. The euro is so valuable. The Argentine peso is so valuable. My God, I'm going to take one Argentine peso 10 years from now and I'm going to buy up a whole city block. Well, a whole city block of what? Monopoly? Um, no. That's that's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. So Bitcoin, is it going to be worth $1 million or is it going to be worth $10,000? Oh, well, if it goes down and people lose their money, we're going to have to regulate it. How is it going to lose money? Lose money compared to what? Are we going to start spending donkey poop? Lose money compared to what? I didn't realize that the dollar was so valuable. I mean, it has no inflation at all. Um, I don't even want to go on with the jokes anymore. Bitcoin would not be around if inflation was low. It would not. There would be no such thing as Bitcoin. Okay? Well, but Bitcoin's this digital asset. And because it's a digital asset, it could vanish tomorrow. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Let's ask this question. Um, so you're at the Walmart and a lot of people are in line and let's say you're really old and really boring. And so you're going to take your lawn chair one day and you're going to sit at Walmart at the cash register and you're going to see all the people and they got their goods over there, beep, beep, beep. All the goods are in the bag and you owe $80. $80. And the person whips out his bag of money and counts $80 or his wallet and $80. And then the and then you go to the car dealer and somebody buys a car and they whip out their bag of money and give them 10,000 or whatever dollars. And there's my down payment. Okay, and then you'll owe this now. You come here next week with your bag of money and pay your $500 monthly bill, whatever. All right? And then, right? This happens all the time, right? And then you go to the McDonald's, and you never use the drive up. I don't even know why they have drive ups, right? Nobody uses them, right? They all walk in there with their bag of money, and here's your $25 from my bag of money. Give me my hamburgers, right? You see this all the time, don't you? Yeah, in your dreams. How do you pay? Don't you have this device called a card that has a MasterCard, Visa, American Express logo on it and your bank here? All right? Isn't that digital? Do you go to the bank and I've got $15,000 in the bank. How about if I go over to the vault there and you give me my $15,000 and I'm going to pour it all over my head for 5 minutes, and I'll put it back, and then I'll leave. I don't think they have $15,000 in there. Maybe they do, but it's not yours. Your money is digital. Your money is digital. So this nonsense about digital money, it's nonsense. Your money is digital. Pretty soon, I honestly don't think several years from now, if we continue on the fiat way, if you go pull out a $50 bill trying to pay for something, they're not going to take it. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of places who don't take it now. What am I going to do with that 50? I can't make change. I don't have coins. I don't have paper. I ain't got that. They don't even carry it in the store anymore. So this notion about your digital currency is going to disappear. Why can't the banks take it? And that's what I'm talking about. So instead of having a ridiculous banking system and a tax system that taxes you on your wealth, which is your property and money and all that stuff, people are just not going to pay that. We're not going to buy stuff. I'll buy whatever clothes I need. And today, notice that not a lot of people walking around wearing Brooks Brothers suits. Most people are walking around wearing Walmart sweats, right? So they're not going to spend a lot of money on clothing. They might buy a few nice things or nice looking things, but dress is getting more relaxed. Okay, I don't want to buy furniture. I don't want to buy this stuff and pay all kinds of exorbitant taxes on expensive furniture and stuff. Why don't I just go live in some place that already has furniture? Oh, well, where are you going to find that? Well, this is the world coming, You're going to have places to go that have everything you need: internet, food, or a place to get food, washing, and most of all, portability. Oh, brother, whatever. Anyway, I better give up writing. My hand is running out of gas. All right, let me just erase this. Let me just finish by this. I'm going to play you a couple videos now that's going to show you what I mean about the future generation. These are a couple startup company videos that I found. And I don't know if those companies are going to make it or not, but I guarantee you that the ideas that they're putting forth are going to carry through, and you are going to see um, investments or places like the ones that I'm going to show you in the future. So let me cut to that now, and I'll be right back when it's done to sign off. Thank you very much. All right, so what we're misunderstanding here is the future of generations, right? Future generations are not wanting to look for ownership. They're wanting to look for ways to be free and mobile, not to be stuck and making payments on virtually everything. And especially in real estate, especially in their personal being. So let me show you something here.
Hi, I'm Colin, CEO of Kibo. With climate change, wildfires, hurricanes, and COVID, and market shifts in remote work and learning, the existing housing product is outdated. It's expensive, it's isolating, and inflexible. Kibo brings together the freedom of van life and the community of co-living in a highly desirable and affordable housing alternative. Members use a camper van as their bedroom on wheels and have access to a shared network of stunning locations with all the comforts of home. Laundry, showers, Wi-Fi, cozy spaces, and a stocked kitchen. They can stay as long as they want and change locations whenever they want. With a simple subscription model, we make working and living from anywhere easy and reliable. Our vision and early traction is why we've already received significant funding from top venture and angel investors, and it's why we've been featured across the media, including the New York Times, TechCrunch, Outside Magazine, and Vice. I sold my last company to Alphabet Sidewalk Labs and a host of other top investors, so I know how to raise capital and have a successful exit. Now we want to give our members a chance to own a piece of what we are building, to share in the value of the community that we are creating, and to tap into the groundswell of early investors on Republic.
All right, and that's not all. Here's another.
Have you ever imagined a place where digital nomads, travelers, and families can freely live, work, and travel from? A place where they can truly experience what life as a local is and have the flexibility to hop onto another adventure in no time without the financial burden attached to it? We started Nuevo with the objective of creating a space in which everybody can feel safe and comfortable while traveling. As we continuously saw growing trends in the market, Nuevo evolved into a comprehensive living and travel solution. Nuevo bridges the gap between the hospitality industry and living. We are an integral solution that offers a flexible and affordable travel and living experience. Hotels lack authenticity and have cramped rooms and high prices. Airbnbs have spotty responsiveness and provide inconsistent experiences. And if you want to rent, you'll be locked down to a specific location, will overpay for your renewal, and have to invest in serious furnishing costs. At Nuevo, we are creating the future of living and travel in the new normal. Our vision for Nuevo is to create a unique community of travelers and renters that live their lives as digital nomads. People that can live and work freely from anywhere and travel around the world. Living and traveling through Nuevo allows renters and guests to live their lives on their own terms, move around as they wish, and experience their lives in a new place as a local would. No long-term contracts, no fixed geographic location, no surge or seasonal pricing, and most importantly, no long and tedious leasing process. Empowering our guests and renters to be able to book a night or rent for a month with one-click ease and quality customer service throughout their entire stay is our ultimate objective. Long before were the times where travelers and renters were at the mercy of hotel managers' price hiking and crazy landlord increases. At Nuevo, we are giving the power back to the people. Our target market is primarily made up of young professionals searching for flexible and affordable living solutions, and families and business people traveling and looking for a nice and comfortable place to stay. We provide 3 times the square footage as an average hotel room, ample living space, full kitchen, and an 8-unit washer and dryer. We provide travelers and renters with a consistent 5-star experience during their stay, fully equipped and maintained units, competitive pricing, and most importantly, security. At Nuevo, your well-being is our top priority. We have a very special focus on following the most strict and thorough cleaning procedures. And since the COVID-19 pandemic, we've introduced all CDC guidelines in order to ensure our guests travel and stay with confidence. We are continuously updating, improving, and enhancing our cleaning and sanitation procedures. We have a unique approach to our business. As users, both my brother and I have large families. We are always looking to improve our product and stand out from the rest. Our product is uniquely positioned to capitalize on remote work trends and family travel due to quarantine fatigue. With our guests and renters as our first priority, we've opened up this opportunity on Republic.
Right, in conclusion, I want to say that we talked about banking and taxation, and as well as portability. So if you have, like I've said in previous videos, if you have your banking, and this video as well, if you're the bank, taxation is basically loan money, and people, let's say the future generation anyway, the nearest future generation, is not going to want to own a lot of property, and they're going to want to move around the world or drive around the world or however they want to get around and not own a lot. It's going to be very difficult to live in the previous model where high taxation and property and being a slave to the government or the employer as it was in the past is going to be a thing of the future. So you're going to have a new financial system in place. And these are a look, or this video was a look at what that future might look like. So thank you very much for watching. This has been Scott Montgomery of the Small Town Mercer. We'll see you next time.